story goes that Sehlabathebe was once the domain of King Jonathan, and he used to use the area as his private retreat, and for that reason the actual lodge, or what's left of the lodge that we're camping next to, is known as Jonathan's Lodge. When you're here and it's quiet and there's nobody around and all you're hearing is the birds and more often than not some sort of running water, it's easy to see why King Jonathan saw this place as special. There are two things that make Sehlabathebe unique. One is the altitude and the ease with which you can get to the altitude. I'm sitting here at 2,400 meters, and behind me the peaks, they go up to over 3,000 meters. There's very few places in the Drakensberg where you can get to these sorts of altitudes without having to hike. And by hike I mean a good day's walk. At Sehlabathebe, provided you've got a vehicle with moderate ground clearance, you can drive to 2,400 meters. And that's pretty special. The second aspect is the water. The foot of these Devil's Knuckles mountains gathers water like nowhere else in the Drakensberg that I've seen. You don't move in this area without being in some kind of marsh, and where it's not marshy, the water is pooled into these tarns. If I'm honest about it, some of the tarns are actually small dams, and there's certainly been some human input into the water that's formed, but for the most part they're natural. I don't know anywhere else where there's such an abundance of tarns. It's the fact that these tarns exist and the fact that they exist so close to the foot of the Devil's Knuckles that makes it such a great photography destination, because you can take photos with water and with the mountains in the background and with no obstruction in between. The quintessential shot from this area has got a reflection of the Devil's Knuckles coming off of one of the many tarns, and people come here for that photo, and it's actually remarkably easy to get it. It's not terribly difficult. While waiting for sunrise, I thought I'd talk you through my setup. I've got a 16 to 35mm lens, and what I'm trying to capture are those mountains in the background, and in the foreground we have these tarns. To do that, I've got the lens, and in front of that I have a 2-stop graduated filter, and in front of that a polarizing filter. The graduated filter is so that I can control the balance of exposure. When the sun comes up, the top of the mountains gets very bright. This graduated filter will darken those very bright highlights down and allow for a more even exposure throughout the frame. The polarizing filter to allow me to adjust the amount of reflection that I'm getting off the water. You can turn it to the one extreme and you get a mirror-like reflection, and if you go back to the other side, it allows a lot more light to penetrate the water and gives you a lot more muted reflection.